Today we're going to be talking about alternative brakes. So I just want to ask real quick, does anybody know or are familiar with our COF alternative brake program?
I've heard some information, but I don't know much about it.
Okay. And how about you, Joseph?
Well, I know we go to locations and have college students generally go out and help maybe repair a building or whatever it might be.
That's correct. That's absolutely right. So it is a program that I'm very passionate about. Everybody who's went on one of our COF alternative brakes have absolutely loved it, and it's something that we want to incorporate more. And going forward, of course, with the pandemic, we couldn't go this year, but we're looking for this summer coming up, and we're going to be relaying those details and announcing everything once we have all of that information cemented. But what I want to do right now is I'm going to play something from a conversation that I had with Lizzie Mittendorf. Lizzie is a first-year college student, and back in 2019, she went on our mission or our alternative brake to Houston, Texas. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Lizzie, of course, you were on our alternative brake when we went to Houston. I just want to ask you a few questions about that experience. And so first and foremost, have you ever done anything like that before?
No, I had not. And to be honest, I was terrified going in because I hardly ever leave Ohio. And so going to Texas was just completely mind blowing to me. And to be in a hot climate and doing construction, which was also very foreign to me, I was kind of just freaking out. But I was also very excited to do something new and different, and especially just to be helping others.
So do you guys still talk today, and how are those relationships now, almost 2 years after?
Yeah, so some of the kids that I went down there with, I had gone to high school with as well. And so I kind of knew a bunch of people, and then I got to meet other people, and everybody there was just amazing. And of course, we set up our little group chat, and we would text in it, and we still do text in it today. And it's fun just to kind of catch up with everybody and see how everybody's doing. And sometimes we try and figure out a time if we can hang out. But yeah, I love those people. They're awesome, and I'm glad to have those relationships.
How do you think we could get more members kind of in the same age range, the same kind of outlook, the same fervor for fraternal outreach and service, go on these trips and interact with other members?
Yeah, I think part of the people's jobs who have already been on this is kind of just to let other people know like how good of an experience this is. And I think more people just need to know about this group and what we do. And I don't know, I know the video that we made at the end of the trip. I love watching it. Kind of just showing like what we did. I love those kind of videos, and I think a lot of other people do too. So if we could kind of just broadcast that a little bit farther, I think that more people would kind of be like, hey, like that's a really neat experience. Let me try it out myself. So I think just with more people kind of knowing what we are and what we do, I think that we can get some more people to come along on these trips with us.
What was the most impactful part of that week?
So for me, Miss Sunshine, the lady whose house we worked on, I got to talk with her a little bit, and that was just so eye-opening, knowing that I was there talking to the actual person who I was kind of helping her life out a little bit. And so that was just super inspiring because she was just such the sweetest little old lady. And she just had so much love in her heart, even with everything that had happened to her. And that was just really inspiring to me. And I took some of that back with me back home. But yeah, just talking with Miss Sunshine and knowing that I was doing something actively for somebody else who I had talked to and kind of got to know a little bit, that was the best part for me.
You guys were like BFFs by the end of that trip, and she was really, really grateful for everything we have done. And the thing that blows my mind, Lizzie, is that a lot of people think that when these catastrophes happen, in that case, the hurricane that went through there and destroyed many homes, a lot of people, I think, pass up the opportunity to help because they assume the government will take care of it, somebody else will step in, different things like that. Could you speak a little bit about how our presence and what we did on that project had a direct impact? And really, without our intervention, where do you think Miss Sunshine would be?
Oh gosh, I don't even want to think about where Miss Sunshine would be. It's really heartbreaking to think about how much time it takes for everything to settle out and get fixed again after a disaster like that happens. And to know that we were a group who was willing and ready to go down there as soon as we possibly could to help her is just very awesome. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity and to help Miss Sunshine when she was in a vulnerable state. I know she said she was living out of her car, I think, and I think maybe her son was in a hotel, and that just, oh, I don't know, it makes me tear up to just thinking about it. But I'm glad that we had the opportunity to go and kind of save her life.
I am too. I am too. And like I said, she was incredibly grateful, and she gave us a very heartfelt goodbye, and she was incredibly grateful. I would actually like to talk to her and reach out to her and see how she's doing now. I'd be kind of curious. So maybe we can set that up. Who knows?
Yeah, I would be too. I'd be all for it.
So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, Lizzie, is what kind of things did you do? But the other thing too, so outside of doing work, right? Outside of sweating it out on the work site, rebuilding Miss Sunshine's home, what were the other activities that that you did?
The place that we stayed at, and I still believe that we are truly blessed that we had like a whole little activity room with couches and a ping pong table. And so the first night we got there, we kind of just explored the whole entire place, and that was fun, just running around with everybody. But yeah, so that one activity place, we would play ping pong for hours, and there's couches there that we would just talk at. I think one night we even used the whole entire facility to play like freeze tag or something
Yeah.
crazy like that, which that was super fun because the place was huge and kind of dark and scary in some places, which was kind of fun to run around in. Yeah, so it was just fun hanging out with everybody. I mean, that's really all that we did. We just got to know each other better, and we would play games. I think we might have played Twister one night because we found that game just laying around. So yeah, just hanging out and being little kids, I guess.
I thought it was good. I will tell you what I do besides being state secretary for Illinois court. I am also chair for disaster recovery for the North Central region for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. And I'm active in all the BOADs and COADs in the Midwest, which is voluntary organizations active in disaster, community organizations active in disaster. I'm also vice chair for the Northeast Illinois COAD. So if a disaster happens, we respond once we're requested by emergency management. And we are there for long-term recovery. And what you guys do on these alternative breaks is part of long-term recovery. And I commend you for that. But we have all kinds of situations where something like this could be, we could use assistance in. And I'm not just talking about Society of St. Vincent de Paul. I'm talking about COADs, et cetera.
Very cool. So yeah, you kind of know this world very well. So I didn't know that about you, Joseph.
Yes.
That's awesome. And so you know this world very well, and you know the impact that we have and volunteers across the nation, that if it wasn't for them, that a lot of these initiatives would have a hard time gaining traction and getting off the ground.
Without a question.
Yeah. And like, that's, I think the main thing that, and Lizzie mentioned this in the video, the main takeaway was that they really truly understood, the students, that if it wasn't for them coming down there, Miss Sunshine, who was the person that we were rebuilding her home, she would still be homeless.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, eventually she would have probably found some way to make things work. But in that situation, with the disaster relief initiative in place, there was everybody kind of spread thin. And so she would have had to wait at least 6 more weeks of being homeless. I think she was living in her car, in and out of a motel and different things like that. So we really had a big impact. And that's the main point that I think we want to highlight in this workshop is the impact that these students had. How can we better go about providing this experience to a lot more of our membership?
There are some areas in disaster recovery where some of our membership could help with, for example, data entry or things like that, which are always in need. When you're having a long-term recovery effort, there's all kinds of odd things that can be done. What we would do is we have long-term recovery committees in towns that get affected or that are affected by a disaster. And what they'll do is they'll have a volunteer coordinator. It's kind of hard to do with an alternative break because there you're looking at a set period of time, whereas these disasters happen anytime. We can't schedule them. When you're looking at a long-term recovery for a major disaster like the hurricane, then you can draw people in. If we get the more college kids we get, because they are interested in doing something, making a difference in the community, and not just in meetings.
Exactly.
Which is a well-worn record, I know. But partner with some different agencies, partner with Catholic Charities, because they're involved in long-term recovery. Knights of Columbus are involved in long-term recovery. Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Get involved with those organizations or let COADs and VOADs know, and I'll be happy to direct you in that way as to where they're at. Get in contact with the national VOAD if you want to go nationally and get the word out to the VOADs and COADs.
So these trips are very memorable and very impactful. And I think that's why we're going to see a lot of future leaders come out of these trips as if we weren't going to, if we didn't have the trips, I don't think we would see as many be excited about what we do. And this is just the beginning. So it's a very exciting time here at COF.
I agree. And I think that the trips are a fabulous way to introduce people to fraternalism, to helping other people, helping the community out.
And Paula, what about you?
My daughter has done a few with University of Maryland. But my question is, what is your goal with the COF? Is it to develop young leaders? Is it to provide service? What is your main goal in doing these missions?
That's an excellent question, Paula. So our main goal, we have a few of them. So I would say, first and foremost, we want to provide the best experience that we can to our membership. And our mission as Catholic Order Forester members is to help people. We have our Feeding God's Children initiative. We have our matching funds. We have throughout our history, different ways to give back. And this is another way to give back in a big way. So I would say that was one of the goals. Another one of the goals is to get our members involved at a young age, so then we can get people involved with the organization and excited with the organization so they can grow with us and they can become our future leaders and we could grow the program even more.
I led a teacher's workshop and we visited a flood ravaged town and talked to the mayor at length. And she talked about they had church groups come in to help them rebuild their town. And these are mostly comprised of retired individuals. Have you ever thought of doing a mission trip with retirees? I mean, if it's about providing service, if it's about providing members an experience, I've just heard of different disaster locations where this has been really successful.
So Paula, that is awesome that you bring that up, and perfect timing because 2 weeks from now, on February 2nd, we'll be having our National Convention workshop on mission trips aimed towards adults. So anyone from 25 and older, and we're looking for people who are retired. However, we will be sponsoring a trip the last week of August and going into the first week of September for 2021. But we're going to talk about all the things that we're trying to do for that, also that age group in our membership.
Guess my reluctance is to go into really big cities, and that's just because I had a really bad experience in Baltimore. So I don't really like the super big cities. However, that said, I've spent a lot of time in the South, so I'm pretty comfortable there. It's just probably both of the coasts I'm not super comfortable with.
Well, Paula, let me tell you, have we got the trip for you? And again, I'm not gonna say all the details now, but I will say this: the things that you are describing, in my head, I'm checking off all the boxes that this trip qualifies for. And I think this is the start of something new, both for our college age students with in regards to this workshop, trying to get people out there, and as well as our older members to get them out there too. And I think there's a passionate group of members out there that want to do stuff. And so now is just the beginning that we're really trying to see and connect with all of you guys to see what we can provide for you.
Good.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah, we're
welcome.
trying hard.
Let me know if I can be of any assistance or be a conduit, whatever.
As a membership, how can we branch out, like, from all of our members to get the information out to our college age members for our alternative break? You know, if I could like ask you, Joseph, and you, Paula, hey, do you know anybody college age who would be interested in coming on our trip? And then from there, we can reach out to them. Is there any sort of networking or any sort of internal communication we can do? Because a lot of times what we'll see, I'll have people say, oh, I didn't know this was happening, or this is so cool. When is the next one? And we've had this information on our website. We talk about it on our podcast. We put it on our social media. I'm emailing people out, calling people.
I wonder if you can establish a relationship with some universities in areas that have a lot of foresters. The reason I'm saying that is my daughter works for the University of Maryland, and they have a goal that by the time a student graduates, they have been on an outdoor trip or a mission trip or traveled abroad. They want everyone to have experience outside of the university. And that's a really high priority at Maryland. So that kind of comes back to the question of, do they have to be the Catholic Order of Forester member to go on these trips? I mean, that makes it more difficult to find the Catholic Order of Forester members unless you know there's a university that has a large number.
Exactly. So we have actually tried something similar to this, try to target where our COF membership is within the university system. And you're right, Paula, it's very difficult. It's difficult, but not impossible. And unfortunately, yes, it kind of, it's hard to see where the calls have gone, and we really haven't seen too much just from, the university side, how all the communication has been through the courts. But as of right now, everybody who is going on the mission trips and alternative break are required to be COF members. Now, we did talk a little bit briefly in the past on how different ways we can maybe make something work, exceptions and things like that. But I will say that for now, we're aiming for our COF membership.
Well, I imagine that also is important regarding liability and everything, that they're members and they're covered then, because I'm assuming they're sort of covered under the Forester insurance should there be an injury or something.
Well, as a matter of fact, we require all the attendees to have their own medical insurance on file, just in case something happens. So as far as an insurance standpoint, it is more from the personalized point of view, rather than an umbrella approach, something sent out by COF. So we do require everybody to have their own individualized insurance coverage.
Well, I will mention that I have a Illinois State Court meeting tonight, virtual meeting, and I will go ahead and be talking about this as well.
Thank you very much.
Spread the word a bit.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that very much.
Do they just have to be high school graduates, or they have to have done a first year of college before they can participate?
That's a great question, Paula. So we're doing it now. Anybody COF member that is 18 years old to 25 years old of age. So that's
So
so
I-
8 to 25.
So when you're talking about the recruiting, maybe it's better. I mean, like Don Bosco, a lot of the students are members, maybe at the Catholic high school where you have a predominant number of members, if you can somehow contact or do a presentation for those students, it would put the idea in. They could either do it that first year, or maybe they'd think come back to the year or two down the road, but they would be aware of it then.
Even if they don't do it the 1 year, it's still in their heads and they kind of remember it and they remember us. I think that's an excellent idea.
And that way you can connect with the Catholic high schools in the area and make connections.
Right. And look out for February 2nd for our mission trip workshop. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Great day. Thank you.